Koppel, host of the Time for Coffee podcast, where you get firsthand career advice into the jobs and industries that interest you the most. And before we start today's show, I have a quick favor to ask you. If you haven't already, I'd be incredibly grateful if you give us a rating and a review on iTunes. And if you're like me, you need to do it now because you'll forget later and because it's the best way to help others who may be in search of career advice to find this free resource. So press pause if you haven't done it and do it right now. I'll wait. Thanks so much and enjoy today's show. Hey there, Java Junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career triple shot K-Cup with my guest, Goldin. And actually, just to maybe fill in some of the gaps here, what you ended up doing was stumbling upon a way to pasteurize the fruit in hint, the way that the fruit industry had been doing, I guess, for years to extend the shelf life. So you actually ended up innovating this process in the beverage industry.
Exactly. Well, in the water industry, because that's the thing that was really interesting, that bringing a different mindset, a new way of thinking. When I was running into roadblocks, and I think this is something that I still do today, is that I tend not to look inside of my own industry for the answers, right? Especially when I'm not seeing anybody doing something, I look outside to try and figure out, okay, well, they're doing it this way. And so maybe I can take those learnings and bring it into this industry. And so that's exactly what we were doing in the early days of Hint, trying to figure out how to get a longer shelf life. I thought in the juice industry, which again, none of our bottlers were doing juice, they were doing water products. They're doing it here. So how is their equipment different? And trying to actually connect the dots for other people, including our bottlers, was something that people were curious about it. Because I would ask them, I was never afraid to ask questions, but I would ask them, so why is it done that way? And they would say, I don't know why it's done that way. And I thought, here's a person who's running a lot of products on their bottling plants, and they don't know why it's done that way. Maybe it doesn't have to be done that way. And I would say, can we test it? Many of them would say no, most of them, because they were busy and had enough business. But then a couple of them said, yeah, I don't know, I'm really curious about it. So maybe we can. So I think there's a lesson there too. Don't be afraid to take people on your journey with you and ask questions like, why is it done that way? No matter how old you are, no matter how much experience you have, how little experience you have, because when you do that, you tend to show your curiosity, and people want to work with people who are asking not a question a minute, but smart questions, right? That you can see them thinking about something, because the people that are the thinkers, the people that are trying to uncover the new are really the ones that are going to change things and disrupt things.
I'll tell you what, you would have made an amazing journalist if you had decided to go down that path. Cara, the title of your book is Undaunted, Overcoming Doubts and Doubters. And it is so easy for those of us who are on the outside, and especially for those who are students who haven't yet begun their journeys, to look at someone like you, an incredibly successful, accomplished businesswoman, and think, Cara is so strong, so resilient. She's been undaunted throughout her life. I'll bet she never experienced imposter syndrome. Would they be correct?
I think everybody does at some point. But I think that the most important thing for you to do is focus on what you can control, right? And also know that so many incredible CEOs, founders, people that maybe you admire on the outside, you don't know all of the challenges and failures that they've had along the way. And I think that it's a combination of working hard, working smart. And even when that happens, they still have challenges and failures along the way. So one of the reasons why I wanted to write my book and share the story is that I think the more authentic we can be, the more we can share our story about the challenges, the more college students can learn about how we actually got it done, how I waitressed when I was in college. I started out as an executive assistant. I focused on working for great people and great brands. And I've had an incredible journey along the way and historical in many, many ways. But unless people know those stories, they think that they go from college to being the CEO of a company, right? There's many things that happen in between. So that was the real thing that I wanted to share with people.
I love that. What takeaways do you think there are in the book for those students who are graduating in the spring of 2022, who may be struggling, Cara, thinking that, gosh, if I don't get the right job in the right industry when I graduate, I'm screwed. My chances of making it are really, really, really reduced. And with all due respect to you, Andrea, and to you, Cara, things are different now in 2022 than when we graduated.
Yeah, I think that, look, the most important thing to do is focus on something that you enjoy doing every single day. I think that finding that is not easy because I think most people are somewhat programmed into thinking that they should go into a management training program or should go become an entrepreneur or should go into tech or should go into journalism or become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever that is. And I think that the most important thing to focus on instead is, what do you enjoy? And that's a hard question to answer. And if you can't answer that, what brands do you enjoy? Because if there's a brand that you enjoy that you really think is pretty interesting, there's probably people that are at that brand as a starting point where you're going to learn something from those people. And I think that, as I have shared with my kids, if you think it's hard today, think about when my parents were graduating from college many, many years ago. You had one job. You had maybe two jobs for your entire life. You had a lot of pressure to make that decision. I mean, can you imagine the pressure of picking a job for your whole life? And that was what my dad experienced. And it was like, okay, we're just going to pick one job and then we're going to get a pension and all of those things. That just, to me, that would not be very much fun. That's not where you're going to be learning along the way. That's not where you're going to work for a variety of people. I mean, you're going to be walking in the same door every single day. And so I think figuring out today what you really enjoy doing and knowing that that could change too. In fact, most people I know today start out in media. They don't necessarily start out in media, but in my own experience and Andrea's experience, starting out in media, and then somewhere along the way, they stumble upon something else that really piques their interest. And that was the kind of thing that allowed them to go and decide that they wanted to go and work on something else. There was an opportunity that knocked, and they decided to take a chance on it. So pick what you enjoy doing today. And I think as long as you can really go there and articulate why you got there, then it's never a waste of time.
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to this latest episode of T4C. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching services for confused college students and recent grads, feel free to check out the Time for Coffee website under the coaching tab at time4coffee.org or text me at 202-236-5712. That's 202-236-5712.